The most charismatic man in any room isn't the one talking the most. He's not the funniest. He's not the best looking. He might not even be saying anything at all. But you feel him. You don't know why, you just do. And here's what nobody tells you. That pull he has, you've been actively destroying yours. Every time you rehearsed what to say before you said it, every time you smiled a little too quickly, agreed a little too easily, filled a little too much silence, you were dismantling the one thing that makes a man impossible to ignore. And the advice you've been given your whole life, the eye contact, the body language, the conversation tricks, that advice is exactly what's been doing it. There's one thing every charismatic man does that looks like weakness to most men. We'll get to what it is. This is dark male code. No motivation, no filler, no lies. Just the frameworks they never taught you, and the truths they hoped you'd never find. You've been in that room. You know the one. Everyone seems to know each other. Conversations come easily to them. Laughter just happens. And you're there, doing everything you were told, making eye contact, asking questions, nodding at the right moments, and somehow still invisible. Or maybe it's not rooms, maybe it's one conversation with someone you actually want to connect with, and no matter what you do, the energy just doesn't land. It feels quietly performed. You feel it, they feel it, nobody says anything. So you went looking for answers, read the books, watched the videos. Some guy telling you to use their name 3 times, mirror their posture, maintain the right kind of eye contact. You tried it, and it made everything worse. Because now you weren't just struggling, you were struggling and performing at the same time. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. The problem was never your technique. It was never your eye contact. The problem is something that requires you to look at yourself in a way that's genuinely uncomfortable. That's what we're doing today. Here's the mechanism most men never see. Every man who's ever walked into a room and made the energy shift, every man with that quiet pull operates from what I call the gravity switch. Not a technique, not a practice, a fundamental internal orientation. Most men move through social situations in what I call extraction mode. Consciously or not, they're running one background question the entire time. Do these people like me? Am I landing? Am I enough right now? And that question, that single underlying question, broadcasts itself. You can't hide it. Your body telegraphs it before you open your mouth. Your eyes scan for approval before you've said a single word. Nietzsche understood this. He wrote about the will to power, but not power over others. Cold. Power over the need for their approval. The gravity switch is the moment a man stops asking, "Do they like me?" and starts operating from something simpler. I'm here. That's enough. That's not arrogance. Arrogance is still about them. It's approval-seeking wearing aggression. This is different. Quietly, this is a man who genuinely doesn't need the room to confirm him. And here's what happens neurologically when you're in the presence of someone like that. Your brain reads them as high status, not because of what they have, because of what they don't need. So the behavioral shift. Next time you walk into any room, stop performing your arrival. Don't scan faces for reaction. Cold. Just occupy the space. Breathe. Look around slowly. Let them wonder about you. Because the moment you need the room, cold, you've already lost it.
Now, here's where it gets deeper. The standard advice, listen more, nod more, ask questions, that's not wrong, it's just missing the entire point. There's a difference between performed listening and present listening. And people feel that distinction the second you open a conversation. They can't maim it, but they feel it instantly. Performed listening is when you're tracking the conversation while simultaneously managing your own image, thinking about your response, editing yourself, deciding which version of you to show. The other person can feel they're talking to a mirror that has opinions, not a person. Present listening is rarer than you think. It's when you're genuinely more interested in what they're saying than in how you look while they're saying it. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. He called it attending to the present, not the performance of the present, the actual moment. When a man is truly present with you, I mean actually present, not performing presence, something shifts. You feel received. You feel seen. And that feeling is so rare now that people will seek it out compulsively. They'll come back to the man who made them feel it. Every time. Here's the move, and it's simple and almost nobody does it. The next conversation you have, slowly let their last sentence sit in silence for 2 full seconds before you respond. Don't fill it. Don't rush. Let it breathe. Watch what happens to their face in those 2 seconds. They lean in. They say more. They feel heard without you saying a single word about hearing them. Because silence from a calm man isn't emptiness. It's gravity. And that is the thing the charismatic man does that looks like weakness. If you're still here, you already operate differently from most men watching this. Subscribe to Dark Male Code. No filler, no recycled advice, just the systems that rewire how you operate. This is the one most men get completely backwards. Warmth. They hear it and think, be nice, compliment people, agree with them, make yourself pleasant and easy, and then they do exactly that, and they become forgettable. Not threatening, not interesting, just there. Here's what warmth actually is in psychological terms. It's not niceness. It's genuine interest in the reality of another person. Niceness is transactional. I'll be pleasant so you'll accept me. That's still extraction mode. That's still about you. Genuine interest is when you're actually curious about what it's like to be this specific human being in front of you right now. Not performing curiosity. Actually wondering. Robert Greene wrote about this. The most compelling thing you can offer another person is your full attention aimed directly at them. Not their status, not what they can offer you. Them. And here's the inversion most men miss entirely. The men who try hardest to be warm, who compliment constantly, agree with everything, make themselves endlessly pleasant, those men are communicating something precise beneath the surface. I need you to like me. And everyone feels it. The men who actually have warmth don't perform it. They're just genuinely interested. And that interest, because it carries no need, lands completely differently. The person on the receiving end feels the difference between someone who wants something from them and someone who's just actually there. The behavioral shift. In the next conversation you have, find one genuinely specific thing you're actually curious about. Not their job, not the traffic, something real. Ask about that one thing, then stop talking. Don't plan your follow-up. Don't manage the silence. Just receive what they say. That's warmth. Everything else is a performance of warmth.
The last piece, and this is exactly where every other piece of content on this topic falls apart. They'll tell you, be confident, stand tall, take up space. Those things are real, but they're effects. They're not causes. You cannot perform your way to presence at the level we're talking about. Your body reads your internal state and broadcasts it, regardless of what you're trying to project. Every social situation you've ever walked into, you were broadcasting your internal state the entire time, not just the parts you showed. What actually creates that unshakable quality in certain men is something Jung called individuation, the process of becoming exactly who you are, not who the room needs, not who she wants, who you actually are.
The man who knows precisely what he stands for, not in theory, not in conversation, but in how he acts when it costs him something. That man walks into rooms differently, not because he practiced walking, because there's nothing inside him fighting itself. He's not managing an image, he is the image. And you know who else has no gravity? The man who keeps tolerating things that conflict with who he says he is. Every compromise you make against your own principles, every time you let something slide that you know you shouldn't, that internal contradiction has a texture. People feel it without knowing what they're feeling. They just know something's off. Something doesn't quite hold. The man with genuine charisma isn't performing certainty. He just has nothing to hide from himself. 4 moves, concrete, start today. 1. Stop scanning for approval when you enter a room. The next time you walk into any social situation, a meeting, a bar, someone's house, give yourself 10 full seconds before you engage anyone. Just stand, breathe, look around without needing anything from what you see. The psychological mechanism. Your nervous system is trained to immediately seek a social anchor the moment you enter unfamiliar space. You need someone to accept your presence before you can relax. Break that pattern, 10 seconds at a time. Resistance you'll feel? Discomfort, the urge to immediately pull out your phone or start talking. The counter? Let the discomfort exist. It passes in 8 seconds. Results? Visible to others within the first week. 2. The 2-second silence rule. Every conversation this week, let 2 full seconds pass after the other person finishes before you respond. Not awkward silence, deliberate space. Your brain will want to rush. Don't. Those 2 seconds signal you actually heard them, and people feel that distinction immediately. 3. Find one genuinely specific thing to be curious about in every person you talk to this week. One real thing, not their job, not the weather. Ask about it, then stop talking and actually listen. Watch how the conversation changes when your interest is real instead of constructed. 4. Find the one tolerance, the thing you keep allowing that conflicts with who you actually are. Not next week, this week. Address it. The internal alignment that comes from that single act, people feel it before you say a word. Charisma isn't a performance. It never was. It's what's left when a man stops needing the room to tell him who he is. The men you remember, the ones with that pull, that stillness, they weren't running techniques. They were just completely themselves, without apology, without asking permission. Most men never get there. Not because they can't, because they keep optimizing the surface, the eye contact, the conversation tricks, the practiced body language, while the foundation stays broken. You can't build gravity on a man who's still auditioning. Long pause. You know the version of you that doesn't need any of this. Quietly, you felt him, briefly, in moments when nothing was at stake. The question isn't whether he exists. The question is whether you're willing to stop performing long enough to let him stay. Long pause. That answer is yours. There's one more layer to this. Not what you do, what you stop doing, and why stopping it feels like losing yourself. That's next. Dark male code. If this rewired something, the next video goes deeper. Dark male code. Built for men done being ordinary. Subscribe if you're ready. Leave if you're not.